Hey everyone, welcome to a new park showcase video. In this video I'm going to be showing you the park Ancient Worlds made by Alex. Now this is a really big park and I have to say I think this is one of the best parks without custom scenery that I have ever seen. So yeah, for this video I will just start at the entrance of the park and then we'll go through all the different areas. So first off, we'll start at the entrance area of the park. Now, what I find interesting is that the park starts in a Egypt area, and that the entrance is also themed like that. So yeah, I think that's an interesting choice, but it also makes for a nice park entrance with all of these Egyptian-style decorations. Now, for the entrance area, there's this big square of path here. But I like that it's not like a sea of paths, but it's nicely broken up with these planters with trees in between. So if you ever have a big path area, it's always a good idea to break it up a little bit. So a nice path along the water where guests can already take a look at the first ride. So they're not actually in the park yet, and there's also already interaction with this splashboat ride. I think that's brilliant. So right here, there's another area that leads to the park entrance square. Here you can see some parked trams or car park shuttles. That's also nice to see. Now what I also like is that he actually used these playing card walls here. And also some of these castle walls that are halfway buried into the ground. They're always a nice way to make a separation between your path and the gardens. There's also a bit of a picnic area here, I can see. Also the rock work here. So yeah, he used the red sand and this red rock ground type here. I think they mix really well and makes for some really natural looking scenery. Okay, here's the entrance gate. I also really like the way it looks. The park's called Ancient Worlds. And the park is separated into different areas. So here we have an Egypt area. I believe this is the Rome area, but I'm not sure. Yep, it's the Rome area. Here's the Babylon area. And here's the Chinese area. So, guests enter the park here. Yeah, let's immediately hop to the first ride here. This splashboat ride. Not really sure where the queue is. I think this is where the guests enter. Oh, it actually has two big splashes. Right, rides are kind of difficult to follow here sometimes because a lot of the stuff is underground, but we have some hotkeys for that. All right, looks like the queue for the station for the rides actually over here. So first they go up this lower splash, which passes right by the park entrance. And then after that they travel through this landscape here. And then they go up this even bigger hill with an even bigger splash right here in the middle. I love how it's framed here with these paths from all angles. Guests have a nice look at this splash here. Also with the bridge passing over it, of course. Where the guests will walk here will be completely soaked. But yeah, the buildings here, I think they look really nice. You can see these pyramid pieces. So when you place a pyramid and then you go in the tile inspector, you can actually copy and paste some of these pieces to make smaller or even bigger pyramids like was done here. I'm pretty sure this is not the original size of one of these pyramids. This one must have been extended. And of course you can see these pyramids here with the tops chopped off. Also it's used here in the tower just to make a really small pyramid top. So yeah, there's some nice stuff you can do with that. I think Alex used it in a great way. I also love this mixture of styles here. So it's not just objects from the Egyptian scenery set, but here you can for example see some statues from the creepy set, just to make some different colored pillars here. Now there's other rides here, and there's actually, it looks like there's almost no rides in the open air, but coasters and the splashboat ride. All the other rides are tucked away inside buildings. kind of like dark rides. Also, there's some food buildings, especially for food and drinks, like this one. Also with some nice seating areas. Here we also have a boat rental, also going, traveling alongside all these piers and docks. And what I like is that there's also some of these cannons with water coming out. So I guess it's like those things where guests can walk up here and control the water gun here to try and splash the guests with water. Now for this boat hire, if you enable height markers, you can see there's actually track here. I also always make my boat hires with actual track, because they really like to get stuck. And when you just make an invisible track, it's much easier to control where the boats will actually be going. So it kind of looks like they're going about random now, but there's actually an invisible track here, which they will follow. So here's a little gift shop right next to the entrance. That's where you will usually find them. Here's another little building, just more food buildings. Now, still in the Egypt area, and here's first coaster. This one's called Sandstorm. Kind of reminds me of the ride Kanonen, which used to be at Liseberg. So it's one of those Intamin launch coasters. So it gets launched here from the station, and it travels over some of these hills, and at the end there's an inversion. Well, the inversion is actually quite fast. And the train is pretty long, so I'm not sure how comfortable it will be. But I love the color scheme of the track. It really pops out here. And yeah, something that Alex did really well in this park is that he actually made really nice queues for all of his rides. Oh, it's actually inverted top hat. I didn't expect that. So he actually made really nice queues for all his coasters. The queues are very long though, and the coasters, they often wait very long as well. So these queues are always filled with people. Well, of course, the thoughts of guests in your park doesn't really matter in this game. I think he said it was so to add some realism, because usually loading guests takes some time. But yeah, this also means that the queue times in his parks are really long. It's 28 minutes here. So that's also why you can find lots of entertainers in this queue paths, because entertainers, they kind of make guests forget how long they've been in the queue. So that's really useful if they keep complaining. So a nice little transfer track here, which is also nicely decorated. It's just great stuff. So a little Ferris wheel here, still in the Egypt area. Now, if we quickly go to the other side of the Egypt area, you can also see a spinning coaster here. So we used the spinning wild mouse cars. Now, they're not actually made for bank track, but yeah, I think you can still use it. Their sprites will look kind of weird, but they usually go fast enough that that doesn't really matter, and it still looks kind of natural. It's nice to see these cars going around here. And this coaster also looks really good. I like the way he did these custom supports for this for these helixes. That looks kind of nice. And also the color of the supports, it really pops out. It's a nice contrast with the yellow and with the brown here of the path. Now also, yeah, often I see people make an Egypt area and then they just fill the area with sand. Real parks with an Egypt area practically never use sand. It's usually just yeah, ruins or yeah, sandstone blocks. And for the rest, just lots of gardens and plants, just to make it look sort of tropical. And that's a much better aesthetic. Okay, I think we should head on to the Rome area. So what I like is that one thing I like, there's so much to like in this park, but one thing I really like is that actually every area has one entrance or two entrances and exits. So for example, from the Rome area you can go to the Babylon area and to the Egypt area, and there's no extra entrances. This is just it, and that's also that also allows you to make really nice entrances. For example, here you can, if you enter the Rome area, there's actually a big sign here that says Rome, And when you go back, here's a big sign saying Egypt. So it's always clear in what area of the park you are. Often in parks I see no clear distinctions between themed areas, and like this it's much nicer. Then again, a lot of parks just have a big grid of paths. So here the path structure is really it's a big circle with with more paths in the actual themed areas. They're more open. Okay, so here in the Rome area, there's actually a big ghost train here in this building. Well, this building looks amazing. I love all these pillars here, the Roman style. But he didn't just use pillars. For example, he put them on top of these little gravestones. That's a great combination. Yeah, it's really difficult to build in a Roman style if you only use these pieces. But I think Alex did it in a great way. He just combined several styles. For example, there's also these portcullis doors from the medieval set. I also love how he decorated his roofs. It's just a really nice mix of elements, and yeah, this building, it looks fantastic. So I like how there's this track going around the awning of the building here. Yeah, it just looks really nice. Also the waterfront here with this big Roman statue. So a little picnic area again here in the grass. There's so many clever things have been used here. There's another big building. This one's just for food and drinks, it looks like. Oh wait, there's also a motion simulator here in the building. So kind of like yeah, like a motion simulator. Now here we also have two big wooden coasters which are dueling. Now you don't often see this, but actually one of the lift hills goes straight and the other one goes diagonal. And yeah, they actually still travel at the same speed, and I think they duel very well here. There's some great interaction between these rides. I love how they meet head on here. Again, here they meet head on in this sort of half helix. And finally here, yeah, they go through these spirals in a really nice way. I think this is some dueling done very well. I really like the way this looks. Again, in front of the coaster, a nice big plaza. And there's also two queues that go all around the area here. These queues are really big. You can also see that there's a 36-minute queue time. Well, for a real park, I would gladly stand in that queue, because 36 minutes, that's alright. In Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 terms, that is pretty long. But yeah, these queues go all around the area here. They start at the same place. But yeah, once again, I think these queues are done in a really nice way. So there's kind of like a wall around this plaza, and the queue goes on top of it. And with all these tents and structures in front of it. Some parts of the queue are covered and have some yeah, meanders. Yeah, just if you ever want to look at how to do your queues, I think this park is a great inspiration for that. By the way, there's also some backstage areas, and something Alex really likes to do is to make doors actually with these vertical signs. I think that's a really clever trick. These doors actually work quite well, and it just gives you another option for doors to use rather than the few limited options that exist in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Okay, there's another coaster here in this area. This looks like a Schwarzkopf looping coaster. It's called Spartacus. So the station of the coaster is over here. Well, again, he has set the waiting time for the coaster very long, 80 seconds, so it will take a while before we can actually see it take off. Again, you can download this park from NE-Design's website. Just look for Ancient Worlds or look for Alex's Parks, and then you can find it. So here's the chain lift. Then here there's goes down through this turnaround, then into the loop here. Of course, when you have a loop on your coaster, it's always a good idea to make it clearly visible for the guests. Just building some anticipation, and of course it will also, in a real park, it would get me pumped for this coaster. It's actually leaving now. So here it travels through the loop. It's always a good idea to make something through a loop. And yeah, here it travels through it and over the path here. And then it goes behind here in this over the water. Here's another loop right next to the queue. Also a good idea. Here it goes under the bridge for some nice interaction. And then back to the station. Again, really a beautiful station building. I especially love the end here with these pillars where the brake section is. Now here's one of my favorite parts of the park. There he made a big amphitheater. Especially these signs that are used as banners. The round shapes that he managed to make here. While most of the building is actually still square parts. Also with a bit of a Roman city scape around it. That's yeah, that's incredible work. And in it is probably 3D cinema. Oh, there's actually a circus here. All right. But yeah, this is just amazing work. This is probably my favorite building of the entire park. Looks amazing. Okay, that was the Roman area. I think covered most of it. Now then, from Rome, we cross a bridge here. This goes to Babylon. Now, Babylon, mostly known for its hanging gardens. So, yeah, it kind of also combines stuff from the Roman and Egyptian themes. But it's more lush, so there's lots of gardens and lots of vegetation. More so than in the Egypt and Rome area. Just taking a sip of my coffee. Alright. So, here we have the entrance of the area. Now this is a really nice contrast to the rest of the areas of the park. This area also uses lots of blue, and it also shows really nicely in this entrance for this area. It looks really nice. Also has a sort of a wall around it, also with the same blue color, and a nice color gradient in it as well. It starts off really bright, and then it gets progressively darker as you go up. So here in the middle of this area, there's this big launched freefall. It's called Babel or Babel. So this is the Tower of Babylon. Some really interesting shapes here in this building, and it's really also really nicely decorated with all these flowers and plants. And he made the plants such that it looks like they're all hanging off the sides here. Now here in the corner we have this big water coaster. So here's the station, big lift hill here, and then it goes around here several times until finally it breaks on this bit of water here and right above this waterfall. I absolutely love how this waterfall is framed here, and yeah, he used these ruined pieces actually to make this column here. I think that looks really nice. He even used these mushrooms here to make some domes for these towers. So the coaster goes around here. Here's another brake section. Then there's the final chain lift. And the final chain lift also carries the coaster trains around here until finally they splash into this water track here. They are briefly here on the lake before they return to the station. I think this is a really cool layout for the water coaster. And something I also really like is how he did this building here. And he actually used these, what are they called? The wagons to make some more longer round roofs. That's really clever. I don't think I've ever seen anyone else use that. Now here we get to our first big B&M coaster. So this is a B&M sit-down coaster called Anu. It's kind of layout, a layout kind of like the Incredible Hulk coaster. So here, it first gets gently lifted up with a chain lift. Then here it gets launched upwards using these drive tires into this inversion co-barrel. So yeah, kind of like the Incredible Hulk, but blue instead of green. It's a nice layout, and yeah, it really contrasts well with the other colors in this area. The blue really pops out here. And the layout also is nice. Again, here there's a Batwing, and with a viewing area right in front of it. That's yeah, that's done really well. This will sure get the guests excited for this ride. Also a queue here. The queue basically follows the open areas of the coaster a bit, just so there's less chance of any stuff falling from the coasters on top of the guests' heads. So the queue, yeah, it's really long. Again, it travels throughout all of this area. Again, lots of entertainers here in the queue, just to keep the guests from leaving the queue, because they yeah, will be in the queue for quite some time here. Now here you have a top spin called Tamarisk, or Tamarisk. Oh, again, really beautiful framed here, with lots of waterfalls around it, some fountains in front. Top spins usually have lots of interaction with the water. Quite often you can find some fountains in front. Yeah, and this top spin is really decorated here in a beautiful way, with all these walls and towers and stuff around it. Really nice job. You can also actually see some of the backstage area here. So the guests won't actually get to see this, but I guess this is where trucks arrive to deliver parts. You can also see one of these cherry picker lifts here. So a parked car. So yeah, I always enjoy seeing some backstage areas. Again, more of these sign doors. Really clever. But yeah, it's fun to actually see some of the backstage area in the park. There's quite some of these backstage areas here. I think they're done really nicely, and in such a way that the guests won't actually be able to see them. Okay, here's some more buildings for the guests to walk through. Here they really get that sense of the hanging gardens. There's some seating areas here, and there's all these gardens above them on the ceiling. These areas just look so nice. Okay, and then here we get to the final area of the park. This is China. Now, here there's a gate to the China area. Again, when you enter this area, you can see this sign hanging above the path. But also when you enter from the Egypt area. Again, here there's this big sign saying China, which is suspended above the path. So it's immediately clear for the guests in what area they are in. So he didn't actually use tracked texture roofs like you normally see, which you often see people do for Chinese areas, but he actually used these orange roofs, but he made the edges in such a way here that yeah, it actually looks more like these pagoda roofs that you would often see in ancient China. Lots of walls as well. Again, not seas of paths, but the paths are actually broken up with all these planters, buildings, decorations. That's really the correct way to do your big path areas. So there's some rides dispersed throughout this area. Here you can see an enterprise called Firecracker. Here we have a little building for food and drinks. Also, this park has a really big amount of toilets. 46 toilet buildings. That's I don't think I've ever seen a park with more toilets. So here we have a big RMC coaster. So again, a big queue which leads yeah, along the water, kind of with swampy decorations right next to it. It looks really nice and lush, and I like how the queue just goes back and forth here a few times. Again, probably quite a few entertainers walking around. You can see them in tiger costumes, just to prevent guests from leaving the area. Again, there's a long waiting time on this coaster, which does make it quite annoying for the viewer, because it always takes a long time for the coaster to actually leave, and yeah, to actually see it in action. As for the RMC layout, yeah, this kind of like how you would do it with the... Of course, the new version of the game actually has the hybrid coaster track, but this is how we did it before that track was available. So a steep lift hill, then a vertical drop. It goes down. I guess this is some trim brakes here. And here, he actually used that trick where there's a hill which is invisible, but this barrel roll was actually made here on top of the hill. The coaster will just go through it because it's a little bit banked, but will actually look like it goes upside down here. So I actually learned that trick from Alex, and it's nice to see him use it in his parks. But yeah, nice layout for the RMC. The landscaping under it also really nice. It has this open area in the middle, and the river rapids actually travel right through it. So that's pretty cool. So nice station, and again, like I said, the queue along the water. Alright, and here we have another coaster. This one's called Shenlong. Looks like a big giga coaster. Again, a beautiful station. So this building's actually framed with paths, but the fences around it just make it look like the roof's angled up in the corners. That's pretty cool. So coaster goes down here, then it travels through several of these hills and curves. Again, a big turnaround here in this mountainous gardeny section. And then finally here it returns back to the station. Also nice little transfer track here, nicely decorated in the same style. Again, you can download this park for yourself if you want to watch all the coasters in action in more detail. Now, finally there's also a nice river rapids ride here that travels all throughout this area. He hid lots of these river rapids pieces under the water, which gives a nice and white tint to the water. This makes it look a little bit more lush. Also travels next to this waterfall here, and of course it travels under the big RMC coaster. Again, here's more of these barrels with water coming out of them. I guess this is where guests could control them and splash the riders, or maybe they're just static. I don't know. But yeah, this is a beautiful landscape for these river rapids boats to travel through. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of this amazing park. Definitely go and download it for yourself. You can find it on Any Designs. If you Google Alex Ancient Worlds, then it should come up in the first result. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the walkthrough of this park. This is one of my favorite parks. Yeah, I'll see you again in the next video. See you later.